We heard about Jotham's 8th grade shootout last week, but today I'd like to tell everyone about my 3-day MLB road trip across the Central Divisions in the final days of the 2015 MLB regular season. Hello, everyone. I'm Andrew, and welcome to Storytime Special number 2, brought to you by the creators of Top of the Standings. As Jotham told everyone last week, we have a lot of sports related stories to tell, and for me personally, I have interesting stories to tell from all major U.S. sports. So, since we're in baseball season, let's start with an MLB story. How does that sound, Jotham?
Hey, sounds fitting to me. I figured, I mean, baseball. That's a very adventurous sport. Probably the most adventurous sport in America in terms of you know experiences and it's America's pastime for a reason.
Yeah, I definitely agree, and I think you are going to enjoy this story. It's very unique.
Well, then let me
Let
hear
me
it.
let me get into it. Okay, so I think it was on around the end of the 2015 MLB season. I think the date that I actually started this trip was September 27th, 2015. And so, I had never really been to let's like a weekend of baseball. So my family and I we went to we started this road trip, this MLB road trip across the MLB Central Divisions in Detroit. So I
Hmm.
remember we got up real early. We drove to Detroit and saw the Tigers play against the Twins, and it was almost like the Tigers knew their future was ahead of them because the game was not exciting whatsoever. The Twins they won like 7-1. Very very
Yeah.
very not exciting game at all at all. But it was cool because it was one of the first times I went to Comerica Park in a long time. So I went to Comerica Park. We went around the stadium, and it was really cool because I think it was one of my mom's first times going there. I've been there a few times before, but it was also my stepdad's first time going to Comerica Park. He's from
Hmm.
Cincinnati, so he's a big Reds fan, and in years past, the Tigers have made a lot of deals to Cincinnati, and it was funny because we went to the top of Comerica Park where there was like this almost discount store, and in the store there were different like former Tiger shirts. Like there was a Max Scherzer Detroit Tiger shirt, but since my stepdad was a big Reds fan, we found a Eugenio Suarez shirt.
Whoa.
It was the most random thing because Eugenio Suarez he played for the Tigers for a few years until he got traded to the Reds for Alfredo Simon. But it was just really funny that we were able to come across this Eugenio Suarez shirt out of any possible player that could have been a Detroit Tiger for a short amount of time. It was Eugenio Suarez. Isn't that like completely random?
That's weird.
Yeah, especially since he was a Reds fan. So obviously we had to get the Eugenio Suarez Tigers shirt, and I think he still has that to this day. But back to the game, 7-1, really boring. So I just remember just going around the stadium looking at different stuff from like the top of behind the home plate and almost like the nosebleed section. It was a cool view. It was a nice day, I remember. But honestly, I my favorite part was not the baseball game.
No.
And Detroit is famous for their pizza. So, Little Caesars originated in Detroit. And I'm telling you, Little Caesars in Detroit, best pizza ever, especially
Hmm.
Detroit style deep dish pizza. And so around around the stadium they have these Little Caesars concession stands, which I think is very unique. You don't see many like name brand pizza places in stadiums. So it was really cool just, getting that pizza. It was also delicious. I don't think I even finished it, but that's for later in another part of the story. But the pizza was good. The game wasn't though. 7-1. It was just a blowout. And I think it was actually the last Tigers home game of the season. So like there was different like festivities after the game for the fans and stuff.
Hmm.
we didn't participate in them because after the Detroit Tigers game, we drove to Cleveland, where this is this is very interesting because Cleveland is a very nice city. I had never been there before, and I was really surprised how close the Cleveland Progressive Field is next to Quicken Loans Arena.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, it's really cool because 2015 it was around the time that LeBron announced that he was coming back to Cleveland. So I had heard that they took down that big poster in downtown Cleveland of LeBron. And when we went down there, they already had it back up and for his return back to Cleveland. So
Hmm.
that was pretty cool. We when we got to actually, I'm gonna tell this before we got to Cleveland. The next day we had stayed in a hotel in Toledo, and this is on a Sunday night. And I'm gonna let you guess. There was a Sunday night football game going on. Can you guess who it was between? 2015 Sunday night football, one of the first Sunday night footballs of the year. Guess who was playing?
Don't tell me it was the Bengals and the Lions.
Very, very close. It was the Lions and the Broncos. So you were very close. And
Ooh.
if you can recall this game, it wasn't good for
Oh
the
boy.
Lions. Peyton Manning again went off, especially he was going off in 2015. So
Oh, that's
again, I just remember being in the hotel and devouring my leftover Little Caesars pizza, watching the Lions struggle against the Broncos on Sunday Night Football.
I remember that game too, man. That because back then I was a big Broncos fan,
Yeah,
so I was like, well, I was like, yay, Broncos! But, now looking back at it and knowing you,
yeah,
wow, wow.
yeah. It was pretty exciting. I mean, obviously the Lions lost, but another interesting part about that same night, I just remember going outside the hotel and looking up in the sky, and it was a completely red moon. Do you remember that?
I think I might. I think it, man, 2016. Well, that was the year of everything, but
Yeah,
hmm,
yeah. I was in sixth grade, and I remember talking about in like my science class. They were like, "Oh yeah, everyone look at the sky this Sunday. Um, there's a blood moon," and I was like, "Oh wow!" And then I finally saw that. But back to the sports story.
hmm,
So after we stayed in Toledo, we drove to Cleveland. Cleveland again is a very nice city, very 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 cool. There's a lot of like cool wing places. We stopped at a nice chicken wing place. We got good food there, and after we decided to venture near Quicken Loans Arena, and that's a cool place. It is.
hmm.
I've never been there. I know a few people who have. I heard it's really really nice, but of course it's not nice when the Cavs don't have LeBron because you know how the Cavaliers fare
$2
without
tickets.
LeBron. Yeah, yeah, $2 tickets. They just aren't good. So I don't obviously it wasn't basketball season that time of year, but yeah, it was a cool stadium from the outside. But
Hmm,
then we ventured to Progressive Field, and this honestly was one of the most unique stadiums I had ever been to.
really?
So, most stadiums when you enter them are like level, like you don't take stairs to go down. You walk in and then there's a stadium in front of you, right?
Hmm.
So this is one of the most unique stadiums I'd ever been to. So the gates were obviously outside of the stadium, and once you got past the gates, you had to walk down stairs to get to the stadium. So basically,
Hmm.
Progressive Field is almost like underground.
Really?
Yeah, so it's not it's below surface level, I think. And it was just really cool because it's a once in a lifetime experience where you get your tickets checked and you go through the gate and then you're looking down at the stadium. It's just a really really unique place, and I really enjoyed the stadium. Um, First thing that we did, we went to it was obviously batting practice, so we went to the big left field wall in the bleachers out there,
Hmm.
and I remember I couldn't remember who was batting, but someone hit a bomb to left field near where we were at, and
No way.
it landed near me So I ran to get the ball, and then there's this old. I wouldn't say he's old, maybe in like maybe his 30s or 20s or something, but he ran down like 15 flights of stairs just to race me to the ball. I think I beat him to it, and I got that baseball. I still have it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was really interesting. It was I almost had a race, or I basically almost got in a fight with a dude trying to rip a ball out of my hands. He eventually gave it to me, but because I was a young kid, 2015.
Yeah, that would have been so messed up. He would
Yeah,
have just took the ball from you, bro.
yeah, yeah. I would have been heated too because that's a ball. Give it to me.
I can only
But
imagine what your parent would have done. Whew.
yeah,
Oh man.
yeah, and I ran away. I was like, I need to get that ball, and I got it. And then another cool thing when I got back, my sister had a ball in her hand, and apparently another home run had hit when I raced that ball,
You're
and
kidding.
like this a security guard got it and handed it to my sister.
Oh my.
So my sister and I both got baseballs from batting practice, which again was pretty cool.
Wow. I'm still waiting to get that baseball from a ballpark.
Dude, you'll get it sometime. I don't know. I just had luck with finding batting practice balls in the stands, and I've never caught one though. I've only got them on the ground, so I still need to catch one.
You think
But
you can catch one without a glove?
no,
No.
no. Real quick. This isn't a big story, but I just remember after you said if I could catch one without a glove, I remember going to a White Sox Tigers game, and it was batting practice, and I went with my stepdad.
Hmm.
It's me and my stepdad, and Miguel Cabrera was up to bat, and Miguel Cabrera is one of the hardest hitters in the MLB. So we were sitting around first base side. We were on the first base side during batting practice near the right field wall in Chicago.
Hmm.
And so Miguel Cabrera hit a liner opposite way towards us, and my stepdad decided to reach out his hand and try and palm a Miguel Cabrera dart. And I just remember, I just remember the sound of the ball hitting his hand. That sounded like the most painful sound I had ever heard.
Oh my
So if you ever decide to try and catch an MLB baseball from Miguel Cabrera without a glove, I would not recommend it.
God. Okay, point taken.
Yeah. Back to Cleveland. So my sister and I both got a baseball, but that's not where it ended.
No.
So usually, after I get a baseball, I like to go down to the home team's dugout and try and get a signature.
Mm.
And my sister and I actually got let down all the way to like the first row of near the dugout. So usually during batting practice, respective players have their families come down and they have like a mini conversation with them for like 5 minutes. They're like talking to them, and then usually after they're done with like the conversation with their family member, they sign balls for the kids. And my
Hmm.
sister and I got a signed ball. I can't remember who the player was. I'm pretty sure he was a lesser known player. I don't think he's still in the league. I will try and find out the name. I don't recall off my head, but my sister and I both got a signed ball from whoever that Indians player was. And if you're listening, you probably aren't, but thank you for signing signing the ball. I wish I remember your name, but yeah.
Mm.
So my sister and I both got a ball and both got it signed, which again was pretty cool.
Wow. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, and I've told you this before personally, but if you guys didn't know, I like to collect things. So I collect hats. So every single stadium I go to, I get a new hat. And obviously we're in Cleveland, so I had to get an Indians hat. And honestly, in my opinion, the Indians hats aren't the coolest. It's really just to see, nothing too much excitement there. But I decided to go with um the actual Chief Wahoo hat. And
Mm.
it's pretty. It's actually a really nice hat. I think that's one of my favorite hats. But it's crazy that I got lucky enough to get that because now they don't sell them anywhere but the stadium, and they stopped wearing them in 2018. So I
Mhm.
feel like I was really lucky to get that hat. It's a really cool hat, but I remember after that another, not not too exciting game. And I forgot to say, the Indians were playing the Twins. So it was basically
Oh
like we
boy.
followed the Twins from Detroit to Cleveland. And the Twins must have been having a very successful season because they beat the Indians 4-2 when I was there.
2015.
I can't. Was that? Was that the year they went to the playoffs against the Yankees?
No, I think it was
Wild card?
2017.
Was that 2017? Yeah. I'm not sure how successful they were in 2015, but they must have been playing well when I watched them play. But
Yeah.
oh yeah, I forgot this another cool part. So our seats were in left field behind that big wall, right?
Hmm.
And I think it was maybe Michael Brantley who hit a ball, and it was kind of scary sitting up in left field because we were on maybe the first or second row above the wall. So he hit an absolute missile to the top of the wall, and I looked over. I thought I was gonna fall over, but it was just really cool seeing a ball hit that close and like that high without going over. Obviously, Cleveland has that big wall in left field. I just thought that was really cool to see up close too.
Wow.
Yeah, it was another tidbit when you go to Progressive Field is that in the outfield you may be able to hear it during the game, but there is a guy who sits up in the top row in left field who just constantly bangs on his drum. I don't know if you knew that, but
Hmm.
that's another cool thing that the Indians do for the games, which was really interesting to see.
Yeah.
So we saw the Twins win both games against the Tigers and now the Indians. And after that night, we went to Great American Ballpark. We drove to Cincinnati.
Hmm.
And this is where the story gets really interesting and really cool.
Oh, really?
So, it was Cubs Reds on September 29th, 2015. And when I got there, I just remember I was like, "Up, the sky looks very, very dark. I think it's going to rain." And it sure it sure did. And because it was one of the last games of the season, you know, usually teams have to wait that out because they can't do a doubleheader or postpone it because it's
Last
the
game.
last game of the season. Yeah. And so and when I said it rained, it rained. It rained a lot. A good almost 3 hour rain delay.
Dang.
I remember I looked this up the other day because I couldn't remember when the first pitch was. Guess the starting time.
Um, I'm going to assume that the original starting time was like 1 p.m.
Mm-mm. It was a
2
night game.
p.m. ish, afternoonish game.
Yeah. So
That's
maybe it was around 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock. I'll give you that. So it was around. It was a night game. So
oh
guess
man.
the starting time.
Well, I'm gonna stick with 7.
Okay. Um, the the game. The first pitch started at 9:41.
What?
Yeah, we sat there through that entire rain delay because we weren't gonna go home. That was the last day of our road trip, and we sure sat there. I just remember rain constantly pouring down. I think Great American Ballpark decided to show, I think it was the Celebrity All Star game on the big screen. And I just remember Kevin James, who played in the Celebrity game, sliding headfirst into second base. And which was funny because obviously Kevin James is a big guy who
Oh
looks like he
man.
could who looks like he could play defensive tackle for a football team. He decided to go headfirst into second base in a celebrity game.
Oh my gosh.
That's what I remember from the rain delay, just watching that on the big screen in Great American Ballpark. But that isn't the interesting part. So there was obviously it was a almost 3 hour rain delay,
Hmm.
and most people aren't gonna sit there and wait, So there was maybe 1,000 people left, maybe less, probably less. But our seats were in right field. Um, and one of the cool things that I noticed was that I didn't realize the camera crew got really bored. So
Hmm.
I remember looking on this right field camera guy's camera, and he was recording the game. And next to the game, he had a movie pulled up.
A movie.
He was watching a movie while recording the game. Isn't that like that's not something you'd think about? I
Oh
just
my
thought that was
god.
kind of cool. Um, but yeah, and here we go. Here is the moment I wanted, the reason I wanted to tell the story in the first place. So at the time, Jay Bruce was in right field for the Reds,
Okay.
and so again, there wasn't many people left in the stands. So I guess he got bored, and he'd start to look around in the outfield, and he actually saw my sister and I, and every single inning he'd communicate to us to come down closer so he could give us a ball. So
Whoa.
we were basically talking to the right fielder during the game, Jay Bruce. Isn't that cool?
Wow, dude. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
it was like really. I've never had that experience with another player, especially in the middle of a game. He was like waving us to come down so he could give us a ball, and my sister and I we would go down there every single inning, and Jay Bruce never gave us the ball. So,
Oh, really?
dude, Jay Bruce, come on. I know you play for the Mets. I want the ball, man. You waved my sister and I down every single inning, and I remember the most heartbreaking thing. He was playing catch with the right field ball boy, which is what they usually do,
Hmm.
and he pointed. He was like, "Oh, give that kid the ball," but that kid wasn't my sister and me. He gave it to another kid.
Oh,
Dude, it was it was so disappointing, but I'm not mad at it. It was really cool. Talking or not talking, but non-verbally communicating with Jay Bruce. I just thought that was one of the most unique things that you could possibly do during a baseball game. So
wow.
the Cubs ended up winning 4-1 in a very long game. I remember we actually drove back that night, and we got back at like 3 a.m., 4 a.m. It was a long night, but I just thought that experience between Jay Bruce, my sister, and I was really unique and cool.
Wow. And who did Jay Bruce play for at the time?
He played for the Reds. He was the Reds right fielder, and real quick, it was interesting because I lived in Kentucky, very close, northern Kentucky, so very close to Cincinnati, maybe less than 30 minutes away. So I remember one time my school had like that like library. You know how when you were a kid they would go to the library and they would give like giveaways of posters and stuff.
Hmm.
So I actually won a Jay Bruce poster before I communicated with him. So I was always a big fan of Jay Bruce. I was always a big fan. I think I even brought the poster for maybe him to potentially sign. Obviously, he didn't even give me a ball, so I didn't expect him to sign. So yeah, I thought it was really awesome that I I communicated with Jay Bruce. He talked to me basically.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. That was my unique 3 day MLB road trip between Detroit, Cleveland, and Cincinnati. I just thought that was a fitting story for uh, now since it's baseball season.
That was a very cool experience, even though those three teams didn't make the playoffs that year. And the teams that were visiting the ballparks, well, had a chance. I mean, the Twins finished 83 and 79 that year.
Wow. So that not too. They weren't great. They were pretty decent.
Yeah, they weren't too bad. And then the Cubs were a wild card team that year, so
Okay. So,
yeah.
uh, I guess it was a successful trip. I'd say we got my sister and I got two batting practice baseballs. Got them signed. Jay Bruce could have given us the ball. It's all good. I am no hard feelings, Jay Bruce. No hard feelings,
Man, if I was in your shoes, I would have made sure I got that ball. Just
dude.
I
I
mean,
know.
from my side of it, considering my history with baseball experiences and stuff like that, which is none. I would have made sure to get that ball.
Dude, I don't blame you. I wish I did. I wish I would have just like called for him every single inning, like give me the ball, dude. But it didn't happen, and I have other very cool baseball related player stories that I have in the vault that are waiting to be told. So until next time, I thought until next time, next week I'm sure your story, Jotham, will be very exciting as
Oh
usual.
yeah, you already know. I'm actually I think I'm gonna go a little more recent next week. Go
Okay,
to high school a little bit.
I'm looking forward to it, man.
Yeah, dude. That was a cool story, Drew.
Yeah. Again, if you guys enjoyed the story, we'll continue putting them out in the future. We enjoy doing this. And yeah, if you guys enjoyed again, be sure to like, subscribe, comment, do all that. And yeah, until next time. Peace.